giants, Nephilim, and alien DNA, the forbidden bloodline in the Book of Enoch. For centuries, whispers of a forbidden bloodline have haunted the sacred pages of Scripture, a tale so terrifying that even the floodwaters of Noah were unleashed to erase it. The Nephilim, towering giants born from the union of the fallen angels known as the Watchers and the daughters of men, carried within them an alien DNA, a strange and unholy seed that defied the order of creation itself. What if these biblical giants were not just legends, but living beings who once walked this earth? What if their bloodline still lingers, hidden in the shadows of history, concealed within ancient ruins, scattered across forgotten graves, or even flowing silently in the veins of humanity today? And why has this secret been buried, silenced, and denied for thousands of years? In this video, you will uncover the full truth about the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and their forbidden bloodline. You will see why the Book of Enoch, once revered, then rejected, reveals a cosmic drama of rebellion, corruption, and divine judgment. You will understand why the giants were wiped out by the flood, why Goliath stood as their last echo, and why traces of their DNA may still ignite the greatest mystery of all time. Do you believe these ancient stories are myth, or do you dare to see them as hidden history? Comment your thoughts, because this is a secret that demands debate. And if this truth stirs something deep inside you, like this video, subscribe for more revelations, and let us continue to journey together into mysteries that shake the very foundation of faith. This is not just a story of the past, it is a warning for the present. For as humanity plays with genetics, AI, and power beyond our control, we must ask, are we repeating the same sins as the Watchers? And if so, what flood will come next? Giants in the Bible. Who were the Nephilim? The word Nephilim is not just a relic on a dusty page. It is a doorway into a world where heaven and earth collided. In Genesis 6, we are told of the sons of God who took for themselves the daughters of men, and from this forbidden union were born mighty giants, men of renown, yet cursed with a corrupted seed. Imagine the awe and terror of seeing beings who stood taller than the tallest man, whose strength could shatter armies, and whose presence carried the mark of the fallen angels. These were not ordinary humans, and they were not holy beings. They were hybrids, carrying alien DNA, a bloodline outside the boundaries God had set. Ancient stories from cultures across the globe echo this truth. In Mesopotamia, we hear of the Anunnaki, sky beings who descended to Earth. In Greece, myths tell of the Titans who rebelled against the gods. In the Americas, tales speak of red-haired giants who devoured the land. These parallels do not erase the Bible's account, rather, they magnify it, showing how deeply humanity remembers an age when giants walked among us. Yet the Bible alone gives the spiritual key. They were not heroes, but corrupt beings born of disobedience. Think of Goliath, the most famous of these giants. A warrior nearly 10 feet tall, clad in armor no ordinary man could bear, striking terror into the armies of Israel. And yet, this massive figure fell not by sword, but by the faith of a shepherd boy. David's victory over Goliath is more than a story of courage. It is a symbol that no bloodline, no matter how powerful, can withstand the authority of God. Even the greatest giants collapse before faith. The lesson here is timeless. Whatever giants threaten your life, fear, addiction, despair, they fall when you trust in the one who gives true strength. Still, many dismiss the Nephilim as myth or exaggeration, a tale invented to explain ruins or bones. But Scripture speaks plainly, and archaeological whispers remain. Massive skeletal remains reported across the world. Megalithic stones too heavy for normal men to move. Burial mounds in North America said to hold bones of enormous stature. Are these coincidences or shadows of a reality too unsettling for historians to admit? The silence of mainstream science does not erase the echo of these truths. Comment what you believe. Are these myths, or are we hiding from a truth too large to face? This mystery points us back to the heart of God's warning. The Nephilim remind us of what happens when creation is tampered with, when boundaries meant to protect life are crossed. Today, humanity stands at a similar crossroads. We play with genetic engineering, CRISPR technology, and experiments that alter the very fabric of DNA. Once again, mankind flirts with a forbidden frontier. The Bible's warning rings louder than ever. Mixing the holy with the unholy brings corruption, destruction, and judgment. The story of the Nephilim is not only history, it is prophecy of what may happen if we forget. From this foundation, we move deeper into the origin. The Watchers themselves, those fallen angels who crossed the line of heaven to take what was not theirs. Their story is the heart of this forbidden bloodline, and in them we see the beginning of the greatest rebellion the world has ever known. The fall of the Watchers. When angels came to earth. In the Book of Enoch, we are given details the canon left behind. The Watchers were angels assigned to guard, to observe, to serve. But their eyes fell not on heaven's glory, but on the beauty of human daughters. Desire burned, and desire gave birth to rebellion. 200 descended to earth, led by leaders like Semyaza and Azazel, and they made a pact to take women for themselves. This was not love, it was lust cloaked in power, a hunger that birthed corruption. The result of their union was the Nephilim, giants with alien DNA, beings that consumed everything in their path. But their sin did not end there. These fallen angels taught mankind the forbidden arts. Azazel revealed the making of swords, knives, shields, and armor, ushering in an age of bloodshed. Others revealed enchantments, sorcery, root cuttings, astrology, and secrets meant only for heaven. Knowledge is a gift, but when stolen, it becomes poison. Humanity was given power beyond its maturity, and the earth was filled with violence. This was not progress, it was decay wrapped in brilliance. Imagine a world suddenly armed with weapons of war, suddenly trained in spells, suddenly gazing to the heavens with maps of stars not meant for their eyes. The Book of Enoch paints a chilling picture. The cries of the earth reached heaven itself, the ground groaning beneath the weight of blood, the people enslaved by knowledge that corrupted their souls. This is why the Lord decreed judgment, why the flood became necessary, not merely to wash the soil, but to cleanse the bloodline. Think about our world today. We too are handed knowledge that dazzles, but corrupts. We hold in our hands technologies that can heal or destroy, nuclear fire, artificial intelligence, the mapping of the human genome. Just as in the days of Enoch, the temptation is not in the knowledge itself, but in the arrogance that says, we can be gods. The Watchers fell because they forgot their place, and humanity risks falling because we forget ours. The story of the Watchers is not ancient fiction. It is the mirror of our age. When angels stepped across the boundary, they corrupted life. When we cross boundaries set by our Creator, we repeat their rebellion. The healing lesson is clear. Not all doors should be opened, not all knowledge should be seized. Some things belong to heaven alone. Yet even in this darkness, hope flickers. For in the midst of rebellion, God preserved Noah, a man perfect in his generations, untouched by the forbidden bloodline. Here lies the pattern of redemption. When corruption spreads, God always raises a remnant. The Watchers remind us of the danger, but also of the rescue. And as we move forward, the question grows sharper. Will humanity walk in humility? Or will we chase once more after the path of the Watchers, only to meet judgment? This leads us into the very heart of the story, the bloodline itself, the DNA that was never meant to exist. For in the mingling of heaven and earth, of angel and man, a forbidden seed was sown, a seed whose consequences echo into our time. And to understand that seed is to understand why the flood came, why the Bible warns us, and why this secret remains the most haunting of all. DNA of the forbidden bloodline, the unholy seed. In the shadows of ancient scripture lies the haunting reality of the forbidden bloodline, the seed of corruption born when fallen angels mingled with the daughters of men. The Book of Enoch reveals this hybrid race, the Nephilim, whose very DNA was an abomination against creation. They were not merely tall men, they were giants, beings of overwhelming power and hunger, carrying an alien DNA that twisted God's design. Their existence was a violation of the sacred order, proof of rebellion etched into flesh. When you imagine the towering figures consuming resources, devouring people, and filling the earth with violence, you begin to see why the Creator himself declared, "Enough." Across the earth, remnants of this story whisper through ruins and myths. The pyramids of Egypt, the massive stones of Baalbek, the colossal statues on Easter Island, all raise the same unsettling question. Were these the works of ordinary humans, or traces of a giant civilization with knowledge foreign to mankind? Skeptics dismiss these as coincidence or exaggeration, yet the biblical truth pierces deeper. These structures are reminders of an age when forbidden power walked openly among men. Could it be that humanity has spent millennia covering the tracks of its darkest history? The concept of alien DNA in the Nephilim speaks to something even more chilling in our own age. Modern science plays with genetics, splicing genes, cloning, experimenting with hybrids of animal and man. What once was ancient rebellion now echoes in laboratories. The temptation is the same, to take creation into our own hands, to design life without the permission of the Creator. But the lesson of the Nephilim is this: when bloodlines are corrupted, when DNA is twisted for pride, the result is always destruction. What the Watchers did in lust, humanity now attempts in curiosity, but both roads end the same way. Consider your own life. While you may not be altering genes, how often do you allow corruption to blend with what should remain pure? The Bible warns us that mixing light with darkness, truth with lies, brings only decay. The forbidden bloodline is not only about genetic corruption, it is a mirror of spiritual compromise. Just as the Nephilim carried a corrupted seed, we too carry seeds of sin when we allow rebellion to take root. Healing begins when we turn back, when we remember that only God gives pure life. So the story turns to judgment, to the cleansing flood that would erase this corruption. For even as the bloodline spread, God prepared a way to preserve the untainted, to reset creation before it was lost forever. And here the waters rise, both in history and in meaning, teaching us that sometimes destruction is the only path to redemption. The Great Flood, cleansing the earth. The earth groaned under the weight of the Nephilim. Violence filled every corner, cries of the innocent reached heaven, and corruption spread like wildfire through the forbidden bloodline. The Creator, who formed man in his image, looked upon a world that no longer reflected his face. The judgment was swift and terrifying, the great flood. Rain fell from the heavens, fountains of the deep erupted, and within days the mighty were drowned, the giants silenced, the alien DNA washed from the earth. This was no ordinary storm, it was a divine reset, a cleansing of creation's canvas. Noah stands at the center of this storm, a man described as perfect in his generations. This phrase hints at something beyond moral righteousness. Noah's bloodline was uncorrupted, untouched by the forbidden seed. Through him, humanity's purity was preserved. His ark was not only a shelter from rain, it was a vessel of genetic salvation, carrying forward a future untainted by the Watcher's rebellion. Imagine the terror of hearing the pounding rain outside, the screams of the Nephilim swallowed by rising waters, while within the ark, life began again. The flood is not just an ancient cataclysm, it is a spiritual metaphor. In every age, God sends a flood, not of water, but of purification. When sin overwhelms, when corruption fills the soul, he washes us clean. The waters may be painful, stripping away what we cling to, but they save us from ourselves. The Nephilim remind us that unchecked rebellion invites destruction. The flood reminds us that mercy is found in cleansing. Sometimes God allows storms in our lives not to punish us, but to wash away what cannot remain. Even so, traces of the forbidden seed seemed to endure. After the flood, Israel still encountered giants in Canaan. David still faced Goliath, and echoes of the Nephilim still haunted the land. This mystery lingers. How did remnants survive, and what does that mean for us today? Some suggest hidden bloodlines, others whisper of DNA carried forward. Whether literal or symbolic, the truth remains the same. Evil resists erasure. Like weeds that return after fire, corruption rises again. And so we are called not to sleep, but to remain vigilant. The lesson is piercing. You cannot play with corruption and expect it to vanish on its own. You must flood it out, purge it, cleanse it. The earth needed waters to wash away the giants, and our souls need the living waters of Christ to cleanse us from hidden rebellions. This story is a mirror to your own. What giants still live within you, demanding to be drowned? Comment your thoughts. Do you believe the Nephilim bloodline still flows among us today, or is it only a symbol of the corruption within the human heart? From here, the story does not end, it only deepens, for after the flood, after the cleansing, whispers of giants remained, pointing us to mysteries of bloodlines, UFO-like visions, and secrets that refuse to die. And as we step into these echoes, we uncover whether the forbidden bloodline truly vanished, or whether it still pulses, unseen, in the shadows of our world. After the flood, did the Nephilim truly vanish? The waters receded, the ark rested upon dry ground, and humanity began again. Yet hidden in the pages of Scripture, a disturbing truth lingers. The Nephilim did not disappear entirely. When the spies of Israel entered Canaan, they trembled at the sight of giants, the sons of Anak, who come from the Nephilim. Later, David would face Goliath, a towering warrior whose shadow stretched across the battlefield, mocking the armies of the living God. How could remnants of a forbidden bloodline survive the great flood meant to erase them? Was it through hidden genetic threads carried forward, or a resurgence of the Watcher's influence in later generations? The Bible does not reveal the mechanism, but it makes one truth clear. Evil is resilient. Corruption seeks to rise again. This mystery stirs the imagination. What if the blood of the Nephilim still pulses in humanity today? Comment your thoughts. Are these echoes symbolic of human pride, or evidence of something much darker that remains? The echoes of the Nephilim are not confined to Scripture. Across cultures, stories of giants appear again and again. From Norse sagas of Jotun to Native American legends of red-haired cannibal giants, humanity remembers beings that towered above men. Archaeological whispers tell of massive skeletal remains, too large for ordinary men, unearthed only to be hidden away. Whether dismissed as myth or misinterpreted history, these fragments converge toward the same chilling conclusion. The story of the Nephilim is not finished, and the lesson for us is profound. Even after cleansing, temptation, and corruption can find new soil to grow. We cannot rely on one act of cleansing alone. We must guard the purity of our hearts daily, or the giants will return. Nephilim and UFO, ancient visitors or spiritual deception. In the Book of Enoch, visions describe chariots of fire and heavenly beings descending with power and light. To the modern mind, this imagery rings with familiarity. Could these have been UFO encounters, ancient alien visitations recorded in sacred text? Some scholars argue the Watchers were extraterrestrials, bringing forbidden technology and alien DNA to Earth. The Nephilim then would be the first hybrid race, the original experiment in genetic engineering. The fascination grows stronger when we compare Enoch's descriptions to modern UFO reports. Luminous crafts, beings descending from the skies, messages of hidden knowledge. Is it possible that what we now call aliens are the same deceivers who once corrupted humanity? Yet the Bible gives us another lens. The Watchers were not merely aliens, they were fallen angels, spiritual beings who abandoned their rightful place. What the modern world calls extraterrestrial may in truth be interdimensional, a deception from forces that still seek to corrupt mankind. The Nephilim were not simply the offspring of alien visitors. They were the fruit of rebellion against God. This distinction matters because it changes the entire meaning. Humanity is not facing curious space travelers, but spiritual enemies in disguise. Think of how many today long for answers in the stars. We search for UFOs, for messages from beyond, for proof that we are not alone. But what if this hunger is the same hunger that deceived the daughters of men? What if our obsession with visitors from the skies is another doorway to corruption, another attempt to grasp forbidden knowledge? The lesson is timeless. Not all light is holy, not every messenger from heaven is of God. The Apostle Paul warns us that even Satan can masquerade as an angel of light. Perhaps UFO sightings are modern echoes of the same deception the Watchers began, enticing mankind with mystery while leading us into ruin. And yet, even here, there is a call to healing. You are not abandoned in a silent universe. You are seen, known, and loved by the Creator himself. You do not need to chase false lights to know you are not alone. The Bible assures us He is with us always, even to the end of the age. The great deception of UFOs and Nephilim is that they promise belonging, power, and answers. But the true answer has always been found in God. Comment your thoughts. Do you believe UFOs are alien visitors or fallen spirits repeating ancient lies? Spiritual lessons from the forbidden bloodline. The story of the Nephilim is not just history, it is a spiritual warning, a living parable written in flesh and stone. It teaches us that boundaries matter, that when holy things are mixed with corruption, the result is destruction. The forbidden bloodline shows us the danger of crossing divine limits, whether through lust, pride, or ambition. The Watchers crossed from heaven to earth. Mankind now crosses lines in science and spirit that may carry the same deadly consequences. We play with genetic codes, altering DNA as though we are gods. We flirt with powers that corrupt the soul, ignoring the lessons carved into the ruins of our ancestors. The Nephilim are a mirror, reflecting back to us the danger of our own arrogance. But alongside the warning is a message of hope. Just as Noah was preserved in his generation, you too can be preserved. You are not condemned to inherit corruption. The blood of Christ is the cleansing flood that washes away every trace of rebellion, healing what is broken, restoring what was twisted. Where the Nephilim brought despair, Christ brings healing. Where the forbidden bloodline corrupted, His holy blood restores. Consider your own life. What boundaries are you tempted to cross? What giants loom over you, whispering that you are powerless? The story of David and Goliath shouts across time that no giant is greater than faith. The Nephilim fell before the judgment of God, and your personal giants will fall before his power as well. This is not just ancient myth, it is a map for your soul. The healing truth is this: you are not a product of forbidden DNA, you are a child of the living God. Your worth does not come from alien knowledge or from chasing the forbidden. It comes from being formed by the Creator's own hand. Let this story captivate your mind, but let it also heal your heart. For in a world that still whispers of giants, aliens, and corruption, the greatest revelation is that you are loved, redeemed, and called to walk in purity. As we move forward, the mystery deepens still. For even after the flood, after the warnings, humanity has continued to flirt with rebellion. The question remains: will we heed the lessons of the Nephilim, or will we repeat their fall and invite another flood of judgment? The answer lies not in the ruins of giants, but in the choices we make today. The story of the Nephilim is not just a tale of giants lost in the dust of ancient history. It is a mirror held up to our own souls. These beings of alien DNA, the forbidden bloodline born of the fallen angels and the daughters of men, were once thought to be erased by the great flood. But their shadow lingers, whispering warnings across time, reminding us of the cost of crossing the boundaries God has set. They remind us that when mankind chases power beyond its design, when the Watchers descended and mingled heaven with earth, when lust conquered obedience, destruction followed swiftly. And in that truth lies not despair, but a call to vigilance, a call to purity, a call to hope. Imagine standing on the battlefield with David, hearing the thunderous roar of Goliath, a towering descendant of this forbidden line. Every heartbeat would tremble with fear, every instinct screaming to run. Yet one boy, armed not with sword or spear but with faith, dared to face the giant. That stone that flew from David's sling was more than a weapon. It was a declaration that no corruption, no bloodline, no fallen power can overcome the Spirit of God. The Nephilim fell then, and they fall still, whenever a soul chooses faith over fear. This is the timeless lesson. Whatever giants you face, addiction, shame, fear of the future, they may look unstoppable, but they collapse before faith. As we look at the ruins of history, the pyramids that scrape the skies, the stones of Baalbek too heavy for men, the legends of giants buried across continents, we are left with haunting questions. Were these the works of the Nephilim? Were these the traces of an ancient civilization carrying forbidden strength? Or do these echoes simply reveal how deeply humanity remembers its fall? The world does not want to answer, yet the whispers refuse to die. And here is where you, the listener, step into the story. What do you believe? Are these ruins mere myths or scars of a bloodline erased by judgment but not forgotten? Comment your thoughts, because this is not just information. It is a living debate, and your voice matters in it. The Book of Enoch, though cast aside from the canon, dares to tell us more. The secrets of the Watchers, the teachings they gave, the weapons they forged, the sorcery they unleashed. It describes not just the birth of giants, but the corruption of knowledge itself. Knowledge meant for good was twisted into chains of oppression. This is a reflection of our world today, where science hands us tools that could heal or destroy, where humanity once more reaches into the very code of life, tampering with DNA, daring to create hybrids, flirting with the same line the Watchers crossed. History warns us, forbidden knowledge can intoxicate, but it always poisons. The Nephilim are a warning carved into time. Do not play with what was never meant for your hands. And yet, even in the darkest pages, God writes hope. When the waters rose and the earth was cleansed, Noah and his family stepped out of the ark into a world made new. Purity was preserved, not because Noah was flawless, but because God chose mercy. The same mercy is alive today, offering cleansing floods, not of water, but of spirit. You too can be washed. You too can step out of the storm, into a life renewed. Where the forbidden bloodline sought to corrupt, the blood of Christ heals. Where giants once terrified, faith now overcomes. Where alien DNA sought to rewrite humanity, the Creator's design restores dignity, beauty, and life. So what is the lesson you carry away? Guard your soul as Noah guarded his family. Face your giants as David faced Goliath. Do not chase the false light of UFOs or the deception of fallen powers disguised as saviors from the skies. Instead, hold to the true light, the eternal promise that God has not abandoned us. The real mystery is not whether giants still walk the earth, but whether we will allow the giants of pride and rebellion to rise within us. The real question is not whether alien DNA survives, but whether we will let corruption write itself into our lives. The Nephilim are not just history, they are prophecy, warning us of the cost of forgetting. And yet, even as we face this warning, feel the healing in these words. You are not a child of corruption. You are not defined by rebellion. You are not destined to be lost in the flood. You are a child of the living God, crafted in His image, loved beyond measure. His voice still calls you higher, His mercy still washes you clean, His strength still slays your giants. Let these words lift you. Let them heal you. Let them remind you that your story is not written in forbidden blood, but in holy grace. If this video has stirred something inside you, if it has brought light into a dark day or strength into a weary soul, I invite you to stay with us on this journey. Like this video if it has blessed you, subscribe so you don't miss the next revelation, and share it with someone who may need to hear it. And if you feel this message has given you hope, if it has touched your spirit in ways you cannot put into words, consider giving back a little energy to keep these messages alive. Every act of support, no matter how small, is priceless, because it allows me to continue sharing the truth of Scripture and uncovering the mysteries that many have forgotten. The Nephilim may be gone, their giant bodies buried under forgotten soil, but their story remains as a living warning and a shining reminder of hope. Let us choose to live not in fear of forbidden bloodlines, but in the freedom of being children of light. Let us rise above the temptation of hidden knowledge and rest in the wisdom of God. And let us remember always that no giant, whether of flesh or of spirit, can stand against the power of faith. This is your story too. The giants you face are real, but so is the victory. You were born not of corruption, but of purpose. You were created not for despair, but for glory. And as long as you hold to the truth, you walk in the same faith that brought down Goliath, the same faith that carried Noah through the flood, the same faith that outlives every forbidden bloodline.